I'll be honest, I'm tired of covering this, but there are finally new details with Lil Wayne and the Super Bowl. I'm sick of talking about it,
Me
honestly.
too.
But I felt we had to be fair
Yeah.
and we had to report properly, and
Yes.
so we decided to talk about this.
Fair and balanced.
Exactly. So
Ha. I also saw a clip you posted where somebody in the comments said that instead of emojis, their uncle uses ha ha. That's why I said ha. Because that made me laugh. That made me laugh. I said, I don't know this person, but this is funny.
yeah, that was on TikTok.
Yeah.
Uh so um it says here in his latest interview with Rolling Stone, Wayne opened up about his relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what happened? Why the sour face?
I was just about to say one thing Rolling Stone gonna do is get a quote.
Oh, yep. And listen, I'm not mad at you. In his latest interview with Rolling Stone, Wayne opened up about his relationship with the NFL and how he was led to believe he would be selected to perform during the show. He said, quote, to perform, it's a bunch of things they're going to tell you to do and not do. Asses to kiss and not kiss. If you noticed, I was part of things I've never been a part of, like Michael Rubin's all white parties. I'm doing shit with Tom Brady. That was all for that. You ain't never seen me in them types of venues. I ain't Drake. I ain't out there smiling like that everywhere. I'm in the stew, smoking, and recording. Wayne went on to say that after Kendrick was announced as the halftime performer, someone from the league apologized to him and let him know that they weren't in charge of the decision. There's a quote for that too. Let me see what it says here. Wayne says that he didn't watch Lamar's Super Bowl performance. He said Lil Twist played pool during the set, then went outside to smoke. Quote, every time I looked, it was nothing that made me want to go inside and see what was going on. He says, Wayne vows that he'll no longer consider doing the Super Bowl. They stole that from me. They stole that feeling. I don't want to do it. It was perfect. Oh, that's not the part I was looking for, though. Oh, I see where it is. Okay. Um, Onlookers wondered whether NFL brass had told Wayne something to make him feel like he was poised to be the choice. Wayne says the league encouraged him to be more public about facing
Come get the NFL.
word mad background noise today for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, Wayne says the league encouraged him to be more public facing in preparation for the show, making him feel like the selection was inevitable. Quote, to perform. Oh, okay. I see what they did. They broke it up. Okay, got it. Um, he says after the Lamar Mount announcement, someone at the NFL apologized and told him, quote, we ain't in charge of the Super Bowl halftime show.
They be saying stuff like that, and it's like, let's be serious. Y'all are not completely disconnected from the Super Bowl halftime show. Like, let's stop acting like you have nothing to do with it. With without your corporation, we have nothing. We don't have a show. This is a partnership. Partners, which means you work in tandem with them. Maybe they take over the production and all of that, but that doesn't mean the decision making is just left to them and you guys have no say. So let's stop acting like that's how partnerships work. You're not a silent. The NFL is not a silent partner
Right.
in the Super Bowl halftime show. Like let's call it what it is. I know they love to say whatever it is. They're gonna say my nail just so. I know they love to say whatever they can say to get people off their backs, but all of it works together. The machine is moving and producing because they're working together on it. So that's silly in itself, but also my bad, Lil Wayne. My bad.
Right.
I was hard on him.
We were.
I was hard on him, and I wish. No, I'm not trying to push back blame on him. Don't. I was hard on him. I admit that, but I also wish. I wish that if he was gonna say this now, I wish that maybe he would have waited to say anything at all, because the optics of what he said previously did look the way it looked, and they said that they what you just read says basically that we all looked at it like, why do you think that you were being considered? Were you being considered? We asked
Right.
that question a bunch of times. We were not the only people to ask that question, and
Right.
we're now learning after all of that. Months went by, and we're now learning from him that yes, he was being considered. Maybe he wasn't allowed to say, and that's fine, but as much as he did say when it first happened, I just almost wish that he didn't say anything then, so he could say whatever he wanted now. And
Okay.
and and then we didn't have to look at him like, dude, what are you talking about?
Right.
Because we didn't have context. So we can only work off of the information we're given. And
Right.
that's what we did. So that's why I say I'm not trying to blame him for anything that I said. I own that. I said it. I said, listen, I felt like he was crying. I felt like it got to a point where everybody was trying to make up with him and try to make him feel better. He came out and basically said like he was shafted,
Right.
and it didn't make sense because it was like, were you being considered? And at no point did anyone, because he's not the only party involved. Same thing I
Right.
was just saying. No one ever said, well, yeah, he was on the short list. Or no one ever said that. And honestly, I think that's really messed up too. That everybody else who was involved sat quietly and didn't say anything when this man was saying that, I'm really bummed that I didn't get chosen to do this. It's
Yeah.
pretty messed up when you think about it.
Agreed.
Because now the public is just now it's fodder, and that doesn't feel good for anybody.
No.
So I'm sorry, Lil Wayne. I do think, and I will say this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I do think you sound like a hater. I'm not gonna gloss over that.
Right.
I can sympathize with the way you feel about how things went down. Totally understand it. I understand it through a new lens today. But you're a hater for saying, and this is what I talked about months ago when he said something like, oh, he don't even be worried about Kendrick like that, or something he said. And I was just like, but you didn't have to say that.
Right.
Sometimes you could just not say the quiet part out loud and we could just move on, and you never had to share that information with us. Him saying that he kept peeking, or however he phrased it, and didn't see anything that he thought was enough for him to watch the show is messed up. You
Yeah.
say you don't have any beef with Kendrick. You say you're not mad at Kendrick, but you're a hater.
Yeah.
And you've been very passive aggressively, I hate passive aggression. You've been very passive aggressively letting us know that you actually don't ride for Kendrick. You not really that cool with him. You are upset with him. Or you're at the very least salty about the situation as it pertains to him.
Right.
That's it. That's all I got.
Well said.
Thanks.
Yeah. I was gonna chime in on that too. I thought that was interesting. He said every time I peeked in, it didn't look like anything I wanted to come in and watch. Stop it. Stop it, Five. Cut it out. Now, I am not gonna apologize because no, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Tell me why.
We responded and reacted to the information we were given.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not going to apologize for not having the information that the NFL, Rock Nation, and Lil Wayne did not provide us with. That's not our
Fair.
fault. So I'm not going to apologize for that. Now, what I will do is say I can understand where Lil Wayne is coming from now. I'm happy that he finally came forward and said what was what. Because just saying I was shafted, I was shorted, they did me dirty, all these, things I'm paraphrasing, they don't give us context. They allow assumption and speculation. But there was no evidence provided. There was no email. We even said at one point, yo, dude, if you got emails, show us the emails.
Let us know, yeah.
Right, let us know. And so finally Lil Wayne has let us know. And I appreciate that. And I will admit, yes, the NFL and Rock Nation and whoever else was involved did do Lil Wayne a disservice. I can admit that. I have no problem saying, yeah, you know what? Now that we have this information, if this is true, then yes. Because let's be honest, he might be putting sauce on it.
He could
But
be, sure.
but
Yeah.
let's take it at face value. And if what he's saying is true, then yes, they did him dirty. I can agree with that 100% at this moment. Having new information. It's like when you in court and the lawyer comes up and says, Your Honor, we've gathered some new evidence. According to new evidence, blah, 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 blah.
Case
Hey, that's
dismissed.
right. That's where we at today. You know what I'm saying? We got some new evidence, and that's that.
The Super Bowl halftime show caper has been solved.
That's right. It was the NFL in New Orleans.
Yeah. And then you take your sorrows over there and let them know how you feel about them. You talk to them about why they didn't pick you.
Now,
Now,
you first.
what do you think about the fact that he said he would no longer consider it?
One, I don't believe him. Two, I don't blame
I'm
him.
with you on that.
It's complex, right? It's a complex situation. I don't blame him for saying "fuck y'all," I don't want to do it. But also, I think there's a world where he changes his mind. I think right now he's emotional. I think right now he's still upset about the way things went down, and that is his right. I'd be upset for a hot minute too.
Yeah.
So I'm not mad at that, but I think he would change his mind. And I'm gonna say one last time, I don't want to see Lil Wayne at the Super Bowl.
I
So
don't either.
okay, cool.
I don't either. But I do. It does explain a lot. Like, I know he's a huge football fan. I know he's a huge fan
Sure.
of the NFL. Um, but it does explain a lot. He was doing a lot of
Well, he said he was jumping through the hoops.
right. But that's what I mean. It explains why you were seeing him all over ESPN.
Right.
So it was like, okay, what's going on here?
Hmm.
I just chalked it up to what they said, and it was that we know he's a big fan. He's always been a big supporter of the NFL. He knows a lot about the game. So sitting down and having a conversation with him about games that are happening right now and whatnot, and athletes, and the sports, that sports conversation that happens on
ESPN.
ESPN and all of the other sports networks. Didn't seem that far-fetched when they positioned it that way,
Hmm.
but it was certainly positioning if what he's
Yeah.
saying is correct. I think, hot take, I think maybe they were considering him.
Well, I
And
mean, he made that clear now.
right, but that's part of my thought. They were considering him, and then just like everything and everyone else, people saw dollar signs and excitement and buzz around Kendrick.
Yep.
And maybe Kendrick wasn't on the short list, but then he was.
Right.
Because man, if we could get this guy, the guy of the year,
Right.
like we've got to do it.
Right.
I see that happening. I
Yeah.
also don't see I also don't see Lil Wayne doing a full 15 minutes. So my or 12 to 15 minutes, whatever it is, but my guess is that they were probably going to have other artists come out with him.
Probably, but it wouldn't have been Drake because he even said in the article, "I ain't Drake," and there was no need to mention Drake. I
What is
peeped that.
that? What is that about though?
I don't know, but I peeped it.
I heard it, but I
I
put that in the
spy
back of
with
my
my
head.
little eye.
Yeah, he doesn't like Kendrick or Drake. That's how rumors get started. Anyway, let's move on. We gotta wrap this up.